Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Martha from Martha Is. Today's video is about periods. Yes, you heard right. I know that's a departure from our normal bookish content, so that may surprise you, but I promise you that there is a bookish link, so keep on watching and you will find out what that is. But essentially, I am doing a new fundraising charity in aid of bloody good periods. So let's talk about period. I have notes and everything, guys. I really prepared today. Let's talk about periods. So periods tend to be a bit of a taboo, not just a bit, a lot of a taboo, despite the fact that I'm going to say billions of people menstruate across the world. And it's also really important to say up front that it is not just women who menstruate. So I will undoubtedly slip up and talk about women. It is not just women who menstruate. There are, non-binary people, gender non-conforming people, trans men who also menstruate. So that's always really important to remember whenever we're having any of these conversations. Also, the conversation about periods isn't just for people who menstruate, guys. Let's not forget that. People who don't menstruate need to be part of this conversation because they need to get on board with it. It's a natural part of life. So, I want to also talk specifically about period poverty. So period poverty is when you are unable to afford to buy period products, and there are unfortunately many people who are unable to afford to buy period products, which really sucks. So let's just go through a little potted history in the UK. So period products under EU law, and FYI, this is not an anti-EU video, but on this particular point they are not right. Under EU law, period products are considered to be luxury products, and so they are subject to VAT of at least 5%. So unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable, because FYI, if you menstruate, there is very little you can do about it. So not okay with that. And to put that into context, other items which are either 0% VAT or officially VAT exempt include exotic meat such as kangaroo or crocodile, not luxury. Treats, food and drink treats that we might consider to be, a nice treat to have once in a while, such as like cakes or biscuits. I mean, in my case, it's not once in a while, but that's beside the point. Cakes and biscuits, things like that, not luxury, and so therefore 0% VAT. Bingo, as in the activity, bingo, exempt from VAT. Houseboat moorings, exempt from VAT. Incontinence pads. Incontinence pads are essentially basically the same thing as a sanitary pad. Let's be honest with ourselves. But the crucial difference is that cisgendered men may require incontinence pads, and miraculously 0% VAT. So the VAT charge on period products was nicknamed the Tampon Tax. So in 2015 there was a campaign to abolish the Tampon Tax, and that was it was successful. It was a great campaign. So it was successful in the sense that in 2015 the government announced that they would be getting rid of the Tampon Tax. Actually, not what they did. What they did was keep the Tampon Tax, but use the money and ring fence the money from that tax to create a fund for kind of women's organisations. So organisations working on like domestic violence, female cancers, things like that. So mixed response to that, I'd say, in that we are now, women and people who menstruate are basically being taxed to fund their own life-saving essential services. But let's not dwell on that. That also turned out to not really be super successful, because it was also discovered that some of that ring fence money was not being spent on women's organisations. Some of the things that were being spent on included anti-abortion charities. Not okay. But recently, in earlier this year, the Chancellor announced that the Tampon Tax would actually be properly abolished in after the 31st of December, once we had left the EU. So that's when the transition period expires, when we will be leaving the EU. Now, cynical Martha is a bit like, in a pandemic, are we actually definitely going to leave the EU? But that's another conversation for another time. I don't know whether we can get out of it, but I have questions on that front. But hopefully, fingers crossed, 1st January 2021, tampon tax will finally be abolished. Now, even with the tampon tax being abolished, so that will save on average £40 over a menstruating person's lifetime. So we're not talking a huge amount of money here. So it's important to remember that period products still remain very expensive, particularly for people who can't afford them. So that brings me on to Bloody Good Period, which is an amazing UK charity started by Gabby Edlin, who had a real vision for menstrual equity, as she puts it, and I could not put it better myself. So did you know, and I got this from her website, did you know, for example, that asylum seekers are given £37.75p per week to live on? That's it. That is not a lot of money to live on, as we can all imagine. And they are also not allowed to work. So they can't do anything about the fact that it's only £37.75p per week. That is all they have. If you have a particular heavy period that requires period products, that could lose you a quarter of your weekly, I'm going to say earnings, but you know what I mean, your weekly income. A quarter could go on a heavy period because of the price of sanitary products. So, and there was a recent piece of research conducted by Bloody Good Period in conjunction with some other organisations, and that found that of the asylum seekers that they spoke to, 75% struggle to obtain period products, and commonly they were having to choose between a period product or food or nappies for their children. So this is all bollocks. It's absolute crap. That should be happening to any person. Any person has the right to bodily autonomy. Any menstruating person has the right to menstruate in peace, guys. You know, just to menstruate in peace with the adequate, appropriate products available. So, because they were not able to access period products, they were using things like tissues or scraps of fabric, and that sometimes was leading to infections. You know, there's a reason why period products exist, and not just physical kind of issues like infections, but mental health issues, stress, and it's because this is a dignity issue. We should be allowed to menstruate in peace and dignity, and that is what Bloody Good Period is all about. So, what do Bloody Good Period do? So Bloody Good Period, they partner with 40 asylum seeker centres to distribute period products. Those products they bulk buy through donations from the public, but the public can also donate actual period products, and they go to these distribution centres. Other things that they work on, so they do educational classes on sexual and reproductive health. They have recently started working with employers on bringing employers into more proactive conversations about menstruation, because let's be honest, guys, if you have that many people who menstruate, the vast majority of employers will employ at least one person who menstruates. And that's, you know, not something that gets talked about at all, but it's so important because, you know, it should be a part of things like your sickness policy, your health and safety, how you approach health and safety, and your health and safety policies. You know, when we talk about toilets, that should be done through the lens of people who menstruate, so that the sanitary facilities are, you know, right and appropriate, that the sanitary facilities aren't only in women's toilets, because it's not only women who menstruate. So there's so much on that, and employers are a really important part of that conversation. So that's just another piece of the work that Bloody Good Period do. And they also, you know, just try and spread the word. They're trying to bust myths, challenge stigma, challenge taboos. You know, they do a lot of really great stuff. They've also just got such a great charity brand, a lot of personality. I mean, basically, if you read their website, every other word is bloody. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it, guys. Now, obviously, in the context of COVID-19, that has somewhat impacted their operation, but they are still have been able to, I think, facilitate some centres being available for people to turn up and take the products that they need. And they have also been working on distributing products. You know, they don't just go to asylum seekers, they've been trying to get them to NHS key workers who can't always afford period products. Let's just pause and think about that. NHS key workers who are not being paid enough to afford period products. And prisons and refuges and stuff like that. So and they have had to unfortunately cancel the educational classes that they do, but they are looking at how they can do those virtually. So it's still really, really important to donate to this amazing organisation. Which brings me on to the challenge that I am doing, which is Pages for Periods. Quite happy with that snappy hashtag. Pages for Periods. So this is because this came out of the 26 or the 2.6 challenge, which you may or may not be familiar with. That came from the recognition that the London Marathon is probably the biggest event in the UK charity calendar. So charities make millions and millions of pounds from people who run the London Marathon on their behalf and raise money on their behalf for running the London Marathon. Now, unfortunately, because of COVID-19, the London Marathon was postponed to October. Who knows whether or not it will still happen in October, where we'll be. And even if it does, let's be honest, it is probably a lot harder to run a marathon. I do not speak from personal experience, but it's harder to run a marathon in October, British weather, in October than it is in April. So hopefully they'll still get the same uptake, but who knows. But certainly for now, that massive amount of income for UK charities has just gone missing. And so in recognition of the fact that the marathon is just over 26 miles and this year the marathon was due to take place on the 26th of April, sorry, there's a fly. This is like this little fly that's going around. Someone, I don't know who, came up with the 2.6 or 26 challenge, which was just encouraging the public to do any sort of activity that they could around the number 26. So you could, do 26 laps of your garden, or do like 2.6 laps of your garden if you've got mobility issues, or do something for 26 minutes a day, whatever. And so I wanted to really do something like that, and so I decided that I was going to read 100 pages a day for 26 days, so 2,600 pages in total. Maths. I also so I put something out about that on Instagram and was really lucky, had a great response, and have now got a group of women who have joined me. And we realised that World Menstrual Hygiene Day is actually on the 28th of May. So we decided, therefore, to raise money for Bloody Good Period. There you go. There's the link, guys. Nearly 13 minutes in. Now you get it. So this challenge, as I said, is from today, starting today on the 1st of May, running until the 26th of May. We are all reading 100 pages per day to raise money for Bloody Good Period, and we have named that Pages for Periods. So I am with 5 other awesome bookstagrammers, Eve, Katie, Kerry Louise, Meg and Beck, who are all fundraising with me, and I also have an even bigger group of people who are undertaking the challenge as well. They're not currently able to fundraise, but they are sharing stuff on social media for us, and more importantly, doing the challenge. So what can you do to help us? So the number one thing that you can do is donate to our Just Giving page. It would be so amazing if you could donate. I am completely mindful that this is a really, really hard time for a lot of people. So if you are unable to donate, that is completely understandable and completely fine. Any amount that you can spare, even just like £2.60, any amount would be gratefully received, but there's no judgment if you can't. Another thing you can do is join the challenge yourself. So my Instagram is linked in the description box down below. If you would like to join, just message me and I will happily add you to the group. If you'd want to join the fundraising effort with us, absolutely you can. That would be amazing. But you can also just undertake the challenge for yourself as something to do in this period of time where a lot of us have a lot of free time. Also, if you want to do the challenge and fundraise for another charity, that's also absolutely great. You'd be more than welcome, and we'd be more than happy to share your stuff on our social media channels. So please just message me on Instagram and I will happily add you to the group. Another thing you can do is follow the hashtag on Instagram, Pages for Periods, so that you can see all of our content, and also if you follow our accounts, you'll be able to see that, because we are bouncing around loads of ideas for fundraising activities we can do, like, maybe we might be able to do like a book auction or giveaways or things like that, so keep an eye on that. And finally, if you can just share our content on social media, that'd be amazing. So please share our Just Giving page or the hashtag this video. That would be awesome. The more people that know about this challenge, the better. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. Please share this video. I don't often ask that because I feel a bit weird about asking it, but this particular one, if you could share it, that would be amazing. I'm sure I will pop up with other videos with the red theme. So just do some red books. I don't know, like if there's any content that you would like to see around whole periods, reading, red books, that kind of thing, then please just leave me a comment with some ideas. They would be gratefully received. I hope you are all doing well. I hope you and your loved ones are safe, and I will see you again soon for another video. Bye!